Well, hello, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday lunchtime, which means it's time for me to do another little Facebook Live with you about one of the topics that you've asked me to cover. And today we're talking about sleep. Perimenopause, menopause, sleep. Why can't I sleep? And how can I sleep better? So, this is possibly a subject that you have experienced. Many of the women that I work with or I talk to have had an episode, whether it's a short episode or a longer episode, of their sleep being affected. And of course, if you can't sleep, it's like a form of torture, isn't it? Nothing else goes very well. So, that's the topic for today: menopause or perimenopause, and why can't I sleep? So first of all, let's look at why is your sleep affected in perimenopause or menopause. And I'd like you, when I'm talking about this, and hopefully you're listening to it, possibly to have a little bit of have a notebook beside you and note down if I say something you think, yeah, actually that does apply to me. Okay, because then I'm going to give you some tips in the second part of this that I would like to suggest that you might try to help you with these issues. So first of all, I think the classic thing that people think is the reason for them not sleeping in perimenopause is the fact that they're waking up in the night with a night sweat. So what is that? Well, basically your temperature regulation in your brain becomes ultra sensitive. So if the temperature in the room changes even by 1 degree, instead of your body being able to adjust itself and think, oh, she's a bit cold, or oh, she's a bit hot, and just adjust things accordingly, it suddenly overreacts and thinks, whoa, she's really hot, we need to cool her down. So all your blood comes rushing to the outside of your skin, you start sweating profusely, and then you end up being freezing cold. So you have these night sweats, which often severely impact people's sleep. They also happen during the day, as you may know. At this time of our life in perimenopause and menopause, it becomes often that we are socializing in a different way, and alcohol may appear to be much more part of your generalized socializing. Bottomless brunches, bottomless suppers out with the girls, cocktails at 6. Alcohol, if we're not aware of it, can feature much more highly. Equally, we're often in very stressful parts of our jobs, and having a drink at 1 o'clock or whatever it is at the end of the evening can become the norm, and alcohol can really affect your sleep. Yes, a glass of wine or two can help you get off to sleep fairly quickly, but it sure as hell won't help you stay asleep, and it won't help you get the type of quality of sleep that you want. Many women during perimenopause and menopause have a sort of an irritated bladder. We've got an irritated everything, haven't we? But we certainly got an irritated bladder. And often people wake up in the night with a hot sweat and think, I need to go to the toilet, or they wake up wanting to go to the toilet and have a night sweat. So the combination of those two things can really play havoc with your sleep. It's also a really anxious time for many of us. Whether you've got perimenopause or menopause anxiety, which is a noticeable thing that you're constantly churning over various worries, or you're not really suffering with acute anxiety, but you've got things you're worried about: elderly parents, elderly relatives, the job you're in, your house, your garden, COVID, the bills, all of these things. We're in a very anxious phase of our life. Many women in perimenopause don't move enough, and our body is designed to sleep because it helps us rest and repair from a busy day. Now, if your day actually hasn't been all that busy, then you're not going to sleep as well. So a close look at how much movement's going on in your life might be a good idea. And then finally, basically, we often have poor sleep hygiene. We don't put ourselves to bed or treat sleep in the way that we would if we were looking after a toddler, if we had our own toddler. We expect ourselves to be able to drop off to sleep at the drop of a hat without actually making the situation where we put ourselves to sleep optimum, because we are constantly available, aren't we? We've constantly got our phones. You can be on the phone and you can have another call coming in and you have to do that hold, end, accept thing. There's emails. Life, the way we live it, is constantly 24/7. There isn't really the concept of any part of the world sleeping. Particularly, you'll know that if the work that you do is in other time zones as well. There isn't a point where you can put a letter in a postbox and wait for a reply, because if you send an email at, I don't know, 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, you're kind of expecting a response. And equally, if you somebody asks something from you, they're expecting a response of you. So we're not very good at actually putting our boundaries into place to make sure we get enough sleep. I guess we're overworked and we're under-rested, aren't we? So what helps? Now, I'm going to start by saying definitely HRT will help, but that's not what I wanted to focus on here. I wanted to focus on, so there's one HRT and there's about 13 lifestyle things that you could start today, literally today, that really will have an effect on your sleep, whether that's an immediate effect or give it a few days or a few weeks and it will start to have an effect. So as I talk about them, you might like to take a note and think, yeah, okay, that's the one I'm going to start with today, and then next week I'll work on that. So the first one I'm going to start with is caffeine. So you may be somebody who historically was able to have caffeine right up until the time before you went to bed and it didn't play any havoc with your sleep. You may always been caffeine sensitive, in which case that caffeine sensitivity may even increase slightly. So wherever you are on the caffeine stage, if you are now noticing that caffeine is affecting your sleep, it may not be that you've got to give it up, but you've got to reduce it, or you've got to bring it to much earlier in the day. So for many people, 12 o'clock is the latest time that they can have any caffeine and still sleep later that night. And for those people who say, yeah, I'm fine with caffeine, it may be that moving it back to 3 o'clock as your gut changes and everything else is sort of changing and aging, that you then notice you have less of a problem. So caffeine. Alcohol, yes. So again, are you, without even realizing it, slipping into this wine o'clock every evening? And if so, can you change it? Can you make a decision, okay, I'm only going to have a glass of alcohol or whatever it is 3 nights a week rather than 5 nights a week? What could you do that would really help that? Not necessarily when you're on holiday, but what could you do to change it? Is your bedroom a sanctuary? So if we've got ironing all over the place, if you've got piles of books, if you've got all of those charity bags, your bag isn't your bag, your room isn't somewhere that you look forward to going to. You know, your bedroom should really be the perfect place for sleep and sex. Who wants sex? Not if you're not sleeping. But it should be a cool, dark, inviting place that feels nice for you to be there. You could have 2 single duvets if you find that you're getting hot in the night with the partner next door to you. Sometimes that's a good idea. So look at your bedroom environment and think, is it a sanctuary that I'm really looking forward to going into? With regards to the anxiety, obviously you can tackle the anxiety head on by getting some help with that. But there are some simple things that you can do, like journaling. At the end of every day, writing down either what's gone on or what you've got to do tomorrow or how you're feeling about something. There's something about taking things out of your brain and putting them onto paper that can be really helpful when you're going to bed. Equally, doing some kind of mindful movement, yoga or meditation. And meditation doesn't need to be still. You could go for a meditative walk around the block for 5 or 10 minutes is always a really good idea. That really old-fashioned thing, such as having a milky drink, hot chocolate or Ovaltine, or just hot milk with turmeric and honey in it. Those sorts of things, it really does work to help you. It goes without saying that if your bedroom is a sanctuary, it shouldn't really be full of devices. So no TV in your bedroom, and the devices that we have access to, if you can stay away from them for around an hour before you go to bed, that's a really good way of letting your brain calm down at the end of the evening and get ready to go into sleep mode. So if you've been watching an exciting film where 51 people are killed in the first 5 minutes, your brain is quite active watching that and reacting to it. And that's not a particularly helpful way to get into sleep. So look at those timings and maybe you can tweak them. Clean linen, I don't know about you, but changing a double duvet or a twin, all those duvets and sheets, it's a bit of a pain, but it is so much nicer, isn't it? Getting into bed linen that is nice and clean. So it may be that you find something that doesn't need to be ironed. You may not iron it anyway, or is easy to wash, or you get somebody to help you change the linen on a certain day. But what can you do to make that bedroom a sanctuary? And then finally, there are a few things that you can add into your diet that are known to help you with your sleep. So kiwi fruit is one of them. In fact, kiwi fruit and legs up the wall, lying down on your back with your legs up the wall, are two really good things to try in the evenings to help you sleep better. So kiwi fruit for pudding with perhaps with some yogurt, legs up the wall, that encourages fluid back up to your bladder, helps you empty your bladder more before you go to bed, and you're less likely to wake up in the night. So kiwi fruit's a good one. Lots of dark green leafy veg and cashews or almonds are particularly good. They're full of magnesium. Magnesium is also present, as you probably heard me say before, in Epsom salts, but you can get magnesium tablets, and I like a magnesium foot cream that I particularly use. So look at the foods that you're eating and think, okay, is there anything I can tweak? Because no one thing will make a difference. But if you think, right, I'm going to cut down on my alcohol, I'm going to do something with my bedroom to make it feel more like a sanctuary, and I'm going to do, start eating a kiwi fruit 3 evenings a week or half a kiwi fruit, that might be enough. And then you can add some more things in. And then finally, I thought this was interesting. I just thought I'd tell you about the different stages of sleep, because I didn't know this. There are actually 4 stages of sleep. And if you wake up after one of those stages of sleep, you don't go back in and carry on down to 2, 3, and 4. You go right back to the beginning again. And when you understand that, each of these 4 stages takes 1.5 to 2 hours to go through. It helps you realize that it's okay to sort of wake up in the night and then go back into that sleep. But what you don't really want to do is to be waking up, looking at your phone, checking your Facebook messages. If you need to wake up and go to the toilet, wake up, go to the toilet, get back into bed. Don't look at your phone. So the first one is going from wakefulness into sleep, and that's REM stage 1, and that only takes 5 to 10 minutes apparently. And then you go into REM stage 2 for a sort of 20 minutes. The others are all 20 minutes-ish. And at REM stage 2, your heart rate drops and your body temperature starts to drop. So things start to slow down. REM stage 3 is in fact the deepest sleep. So this is when your brain starts to repair, your muscles relax, your blood pressure comes down, and your breathing comes down. And we get this lovely repairing stage of sleep. And then we change into REM stage 4. And that's when you might see flickering eyelids, because your brain is now starting to go into that dream stage. Your body's really relaxed and your brain is thinking about all of those things that have happened during the day. And then you come out and you go back into 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. And that happens throughout the night. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, that we go through these stages. And as I say, 1.5 to 2 hours. So if sleep is something that you are really struggling with, and you're looking for some lifestyle tips to help you try and improve it, they are some tips that you might like to try. Obviously, when I work with people, I really help support them through this sleep program, particularly if I'm working with them on the Move of Menopause program. So if you want my help, do get in touch with me. I'd love to chat with you. But for now, have a think which one of those 8 or 9 tips I gave you is missing from your sleep hygiene that you could put in from tonight. I hope that's been helpful. I'll see you again soon. Bye.